Good morning, natural gas. It's Monday, March the 23rd, 2026. I'm Tim Beggins, president of Elk Trading Company. And today's top news for natural gas. Number one, the Iran war now enters the terminal phase. Parties are talking. Number two, there is profit taking across risk assets now as the war premium erodes. Number three, the US, the Southwest heat dome is starting to build. And number four, the European Union has lowered their natural gas storage stock targets because of the war. Let's turn to the spot April contract, which goes off the board on Friday. Option expiration this Thursday. So we're running out of time. And with the war potentially winding down, everything is taking away that war premium. So all risk assets, metals, oil, natural gas, all coming down. So currently we're trading at 294.20, down 15.3 cents or 4.94%. And as you can see, we're still below the 13 and 48 period exponential moving averages. The RSI has turned lower. So what's going on? Let's take a look at the option. And here's the biggest strike, the $3 strike with over 50,000. We're below that now, and we get congested here all the way from 290 all the way down to 275. Again, Thursday is option expiration. Let's turn to the Middle East, and this is the Strait of Hormuz. And as you can see, the war talks are starting to end here. Obviously, that's the terminal phase, but traffic is still very, very light through the Straits of Hormuz. The biggest problem here, obviously, Ras Laffan, because that's an FM event here on train 4 and train 6 on what used to be Rasgas, which is now Qatar Gas South. Until that facility is repaired, we're still in a scramble for physical molecules come winter. Let's turn to the hourly. And again, we could see here we're well below the daily pivot, which came in at 310 and 3 ticks. But we're now holding above the last support level, which is at 291.30. And as you can see, the RSI is scraping on the low side here, has yet to turn up, but it is very much in an oversold condition right now. Let's take a look at the strips here. This is the April through October strip. And as you can see, we're down 11.4 cents here to 323.90. We're down 3.39%. The RSI is turning lower here. Again, we're looking for a bottom on April through October. Seasonally, this is when we do it. But with the war, it's kind of muddying things up. Let's see what happens here with the heat that's coming through in the Southwest and whether or not we are getting warnings here about an early summer. Let's take a look at the November through March strip. That's the one that's really been catching the premium because of the war. And again, that risk premium said, I have to have physical molecules, especially in winter. And that's strip right now down 13.8 cents here to 437.90 or over 3.06%. The RSI is turning lower still. Let's turn to the weather in the US. And as you can see here, we start to look at some warmer temperatures pushing through the southwest of the United States and into Texas and across the south. As you can see here, most of those temperatures are in the 80s and 90s as we go through the forecast period here and get closer and closer to April. It's not extremely warm. There is still some cold across the Great Lakes into the New England and parts of mid-Atlantic states, but looks like here, right there around the 31st, we get some warm temperatures all the way back into the Dakotas. So let's take a look at where we are for that heat dome. And this is the anomaly against the 30-year average. And let's run it here. And as you can see, as we go through the forecast period, we've got 10 to 20 degrees above normal, building out in the west in particular and trying to push east. This is a big heat dome for this time of year, but you could see there is some cold that wants to push it back out before that heat starts to build yet again as we get closer and closer toward the end of the month. And as you can see here, it eventually pushes out all the cold in the United States and sits over the Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, and New England states. That's a welcome reprieve from really, really long winter. And let's take a look at that heat risk as we get through the map here. You can see southwest, southeast, minor heat risk. But as we go through the forecast period here, that dome of warm temperatures builds out west. And as you can see, we get moderate heat risk in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, all the way back into Colorado, and of course, Arizona and California. But then that starts to build a little bit in Texas, but it's sparsely populated in this area out in the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas. But then again, over here in Arizona and parts all the way back to Los Angeles on Friday, gets pretty warm. Again, that heat is still lingering in the desert Southwest. Let's turn to Europe. And as you can see here, we go through the forecast period. There's some cooler temperatures that come off the Atlantic here around the 25th. That's just 2 days away. And that pushes out that warmer temperature to the east. And so we've got Germany, Spain, Portugal, and other parts like Italy getting a little bit cooler as we get closer and closer toward the end of the month. This lingers here through the forecast period and pushes out to the Eastern European states, and then just moderate cooler temperatures as we get into April the 6th. Here's the EU. Right now, we're currently at 28.5% full across the EU. This is a 2-day lag. Actually, this is the 20th. And Germany and France are stabilizing here. 21.9 for Germany, 21.8 for France. So France has actually dipped lower than Germany. And here's it overall across the EU. Again, the Netherlands at 8%, Croatia at 19%, Sweden at 15%, and of course, Latvia at 21%. And let's take a look at the U.S. nuclear fleet. And we've got much higher outage right now than we had last year or the 5-year average. Currently, right now, we are looking at 20.5 gigawatts are offline for maintenance and refueling. So we may peak out even earlier than last year's March the 29th. This is a major refueling here. And as you can see, they're trying to get ready for summer. Let's turn to ERCOT. And here in Texas, solar and wind are taking up 71.4% of the fuel mix right now. Natural gas only 22.4%, just under 11,000 megawatts. But if you look and scroll down a little bit here, the combined wind and solar, this wind dips all the way down here to just 3,000 megawatts at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So as temperatures rise, the wind diminishes. So that means more for natural gas. How about the risk of fires? Well, we've got some fires up in Oklahoma, all the way back to Nebraska. Again, remember, conditions are very, very dry across Texas, all the way over into Florida and parts of the southeast. How about some positive news? Golden Pass, 323,461. It is stable, still hasn't produced its first export cargo. It may actually miss the entire award. Oh well. Let's turn to the stocks, and as profit taking is coming across the entire grid right now, only Murphy is up at 1.73%. Everybody else really much is in the negative or profit taking mode. Right behind me, CNX down 0.03%. So recapping again, with the April spot natural gas contract, it expires on Friday, options on Thursday. We're currently trading at $2.9430, down 15.2 cents, or almost 5%. RSI still negative. So expect that this is going to be an option play around the 290 strike. There is congestion all the way down to 275 on the puts. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.